What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Zary, and before we get into the video, I just want to remind everybody, if you're under level 15 and you want $10 worth of free stuff, go to your settings, go to use promo code, and type in XMGGift. You do that, you'll get $10 worth of free stuff. It helps support the channel. So if you're under level 15, make sure you're using that promo code XMGGift. Enjoy the video. Alright, my YouTube family, we are here, and today is the season of staffs. We are getting Wukong, and pretty excited about this character. And, you know, I had time to playtest him for about a week, and I just slowly been working on your average, normal player, you know, kind of play him and feel him out. But first off, Wukong, I didn't really know this, is actually a mythical character. So, yeah, there's a lot of other Wukongs in games and things like that. And I didn't realize he's actually like a mythical god or something, like Thor style. So that was pretty cool. And I do like the way he looks. He isn't overly cartoony. I do like the details in his staff and his shoulders, and we're going to save my thought process on Wukong for later in the video, for sure. But let's get in like we always do, jump over and check out Wukong. So, Wukong, he's a pride tactician warrior. He fits that bill, and we'll see what happens next. Gonna put myself down. I got a little new setup here, got a little bigger of a desk, so it's kind of cool. But anyways, Wukong comes in. Health, 23,470, bringing him in at 23rd in the game. Shield, 25,667, coming in at 30th. So a little bit above average on both of those stats, coming in at 49,137, 23rd in the game. Really like where that is. Any time we really don't have to solely focus on a survivability with a character, extremely good. Next up, speed, 156, fantastic speed, coming in at 10th in the game. Really like where that's at. Physical damage, 6th in the game with 3,142. Crit chance, 26th in the game at 2591. Really good stats so far, kind of liking what we're seeing with Wukong as far as stat-wise. Alright, then we have physical armor, 31st in the game, 31.91, so right pretty much middle tier, a little bit above middle tier, 1 or 2. But this is all gear 11, keep that in mind, I forgot to say that. And, you know, 31.91, workable for sure. The best magic armor in the game at 42.84. Phenomenal. Potency, 20. 54th in the game, or he's tied for 32nd. However you want to put it. It's below tier, very low potency, so that's something we're going to want to keep in mind when we get over to his move kit abilities to check out what's going on there. So my stat takeaways on Wukong. His speed is awesome. His magic armor is fantastic. Physical armor, it's workable. I mean, it's middle of the road, so it's not terrible. So I give it a plus. His damage is phenomenal. Potency kind of sucks. And I put his health and shield, and I talked about how that was a good thing with the health and shield combination. But I put it here because it's a disclaimer of what's to come. And when you get into his move kit, we're going to see how he needs more health. But he doesn't seem as tanky as he normally does, as he should based on paper. He doesn't seem to last as long as he should. Let's put it that way. So that to me is kind of a negative. Even though it's got very solid numbers, it's something we want to keep in mind when we look at this character, right? I mean, we don't want him dying all the time, so got to keep that in mind. So let's jump into game and check out his move kit. Now, normally when I do a Noobs series or guide, I take the levels up to level 6, but I want to do more extensive testing with this character, so I took him up to 7 to play around with it. But we're still going to read him at level 6, then we'll talk about level 7s. So at level 6, his Fury of Oasis deals 230 physical damage to an enemy. If the target is inflicted by daze, increases the cooldown of a random ability by 1. Otherwise inflicts daze for 1 turn. So we're seeing potency and physical damage right off the bat. And I like this because if you still got to do the potency tenacity check, right? But if they already have days, you get a random ability cooldown by 1. And if you don't, it puts the days on. So it's multifunctional. And then when this goes to level 7, we just get more physical damage. 275. So this is probably the last one I would take to level 7. I mean, doing more damage is great. He is a damage dealer, but his other abilities, as we'll see and we talk about at the end when I give my thoughts and feelings on this character, make a big difference. Second ability at level 6 here is the Great Staff. Deals 250 physical damage to all enemies and inflicts a damage decrease for 2 turns. Restores 10 to 30% turn meter of all his duplicates. So his duplicates is going to be our next move, but it's like Cruel where you create a reflection of yourself. I don't like how it's 10 to 30. I just rather have it be like a flat 15, flat 20, whatever the case might be. Just have it be a flat stat so we know what we're getting. I don't like that fluctuating part. 250 on an AoE is kind of on a low end when we're looking at like 460s and 400s and things like that. It's kind of on the low end and it doesn't hit as hard as you think it might. So to me, that's kind of a problem there. But at level 7, you get a 300, and then you get it between a 20 and a 40. That is awesome. But again, I just like here, if the first one's going to be 15, then do the next one 25, and just call it a day. Or 120, 130, call it a day. So I just wish they do it that way. Now his monkey business. This is the move that creates the duplicates, and at level 6, he summons 1 duplicate with 50% of Wukong's health and his damage. And this is why I kind of gave his health and shield a negative, because his duplicates, even with full health sets on, just don't seem to last very long. And I know they're reflections, but you know, when I read this for the first time, I was like, holy crap, this is going to be awesome. And it still is, but it's not as strong as you might think, at least from what I've experienced. Remember, this is just my take on him. People can probably find ways to use this guy all over the place, and I think you can, but this is just me. Duplicates gain 20% of turn meter. If there are at least 3 pride allies in a party, on the first use he summons 1 duplicate. So if you paired him with like a Heirs Salvador, right, then you get 2 duplicates drop when you use it on your first time only. And then they get taunt, so it's pretty nice. You get like a full taunter in there. And then if there are 5, if you put him in a full pride party, he summons 3 duplicates, all with taunt, and then he gains invisibility. No matter how many times he uses this move, he'll gain invisibility. You can't have more than 3 subling duplicates at once. So they limit that. That's kind of nice. Alright, so, okay. And then at level 7, summons a duplicate with 50% of Wukong's health and 60% of his damage. Duplicates gain 20% of turn meter, right? All that stuff remains the same. You get invisibility, right? Gains invisibility, and you can have 3 more. The only thing that changes here is, where is it? It's duplicates gain 20% turn meter and counterattack. That is massive, because they're going to have the taunt on them. They can counterattack, and if they don't have days, your reflections can apply the days. That part there makes this T7 upgrade ability huge. Because then when Wukong comes in, which we'll see in his passive, he can start, if they already have the days, he's then applying that random ability cooldown, and that can really screw up the other team. So this monkey business tier 7 ability is awesome. Then on his passive ability at level 6, alright, if there's at least 1 duplicate alive, Wukong survives a fatal blow. So say Garrett removed all the invisibility, they go after Wukong and he has his 3 duplicates up. And they kill him. One of those duplicates is going to die, and Wukong stays alive. So that's how that works. Alright, any effects active on him are removed. Random duplicate dies instead, which we talked about, and Wukong receives duplicates current health and gains invisibility for 2 turns. So he's going to re-stealth himself, and he'll gain the current health. At the start of the turn, he copies all different buffs except taunt from his duplicates and applies them to himself for the same duration. So say somebody kills him and it kills off one of his duplicates, right? Then what you're going to do is, on his next turn, he'll be under stealth, but say your duplicate then has, a crit damage increase, counterattack, whatever. He's going to take those buffs and copy them to himself. Pretty neat. Or if there's regenerations up from a Nara, he can put the regeneration on himself. At the start of its turn, he removes one random debuff from himself and applies it to a random duplicate for the same duration. So say he has bleed on himself, he's going to take bleed off of himself or slow, and he's going to put it on a duplicate. So he's cleansing himself and giving it to a duplicate. But the one has to be alive, obviously, to do that. And at level 7, another huge T7 upgrade here is he cleanses all buffs. All debuffs, I'm sorry. Cleansing all debuffs from himself makes his survivability humongous. And it really, really is beneficial to put this on. So looking at the T7 upgrades on this character, for me, the biggest one here is Monkey Business. It's absolutely huge to get that counter chance on. Then his passive ability is really, really solid. And then here, this one is the third one, and then his basic would be the fourth. And that's kind of how I'd work the T7 abilities on this character. I'm going for Monkey Business first, no matter what, then his passive, and then his Great Staff, then his basic. And he plays so much differently with the T7s, and we're going to get into that. So Move Kid's takeaway, just wow. This guy brings a lot of different mechanics to the table. The self-cleanse and putting it on a duplicate, the cheat death if a duplicate's up, the just, stealing buffs from his duplicates. He has an AoE. He just has solid damage. The random ability cooldown. Really neat. T7 is absolutely huge for this guy, and his plug-and-play viability is through the roof. He really is a great plug-and-play character, and he can be used in other comps. Like I made a comp of a Days team with like a Thelaine lead, using Days characters. I had Dr. Frank in there, and it was a lot of fun. Will it hold in the arena? Absolutely not, but it was just fun to play with. He brings a lot of theory crafting. And for me, a negative is the reflections. They just don't seem to last. They get nuked down really quick. So like the cleansing himself, after the first time where he drops those 3, you're okay. But as the fight progresses and you're only dropping 1 at a time, those things just die so fast. They really, really die fast. And that's really the only drawback I see from his move kit. I mean, you do need potency on this character. You need a lot of potency. And I tried all different rune sets, and we're going to get into that now. So when I talk about runing this character, how do we want to rune him? Now, if you're not worried about the debuffs and the dazes, maybe the second option's the best for you. But my dog's sleeping back there. She's having a dream. But anyways, 6 potency you could obviously go if you really want to crank up his potency. And when you get higher tier in raids with this character, you might want to consider putting all potency. Normally I say speed and potency. You can get this character fast enough with secondaries. The other option is you could go a damage set with either 2 crit chances or 2 potencies. And I played around with the damage and health, and I didn't see the benefit. Like, I think I have a damage and health on him right now, but before we get into runes, I'm going to change it around to what I like. But those are the 2 options I would strongly recommend. If you're not worried about the days and all that stuff, which you should be, then you could just build him crit chance, crit damage. But that damage, you can get that damage over, I think I had him at 4,200, and he was doing some work. But to get the most use out of this guy, you want the potency. To really make him super annoying, you want to have that potency in there. So that's kind of where I went there. So I'm going to rune him. We're going to jump over and talk about that now. Alright, so we're back in the game, and like I said, and I'm going to talk about this later, but just like the title says, this is a tale of 2 monkeys. Early, mid-game, beginning of endgame. Damage potency might be the way to go. And I think I believe that. You're getting more damage out of him, and you're getting potency. Now, as you start getting higher tier, and you want to start using him in raids and things like that, the potency is going to be huge. You're going to want potency on this guy as much as possible. So going all potency or 2 potency sets with a crit chance set could kind of be the way to go with him. But for your everyday normal player, damage potency seems to work just fine for me. And what I'm looking for in the substats, speed, because we're not putting a speed set on this guy, so you want to try to get at least every rune to have speed on it, right? That way we can break that 200, push like 210, 215 with 3-dot runes. Okay, you want potency. You want to try to get as much potency on this guy as you can. Damage would be the next one I'd focus on. Always make sure if you can get damage in there. Critical chance, right? Critical chance, so he hits harder based on that nice damage buff you're giving him. And then put in survivability in the form of health, if you can get it. Because remember, the reflections are getting damage and health from Wukong, not shield or anything. It's not based off his shield. So, I mean, if you got to put shield in there, it's definitely good. Tenacity, okay. Armor, great. But what you really want, if you can, is health. So you're looking for damage, potency, speed, crit chance, survivability in the form of health. So what I did here, obviously, is I went damage, health, speed, and crit chance. So we're getting some damage buff. We're getting a little bit of that crit chance. If this damage here was potency, it'd be a perfect rune. Went for the speed here with armor, health, damage, and potency. Then I went for armor here with potency, speed, crit chance, and armor. Down in the bottom, I went crit damage here. Now, you could go crit chance. You could go regular damage, whatever you want. But I like this rune. I got 7 speed off of it. Got some extra crit chance. I got some health in there and a little regular damage. I'm only missing out on potency. I'm okay with it. I went health primary here. We have damage, armor, speed, and more damage. Again, I could really do a better job getting potency in these secondary stats, but I kind of wanted him to do a little more damage. And for this type of build, I'm looking straight kind of damage, and the potency I need, it does a pretty good job where it's at. Then I went potency here with speed, armor, and shield. Now, I went potency on this one because after about 20 minutes of trying to get higher than 4 speed, I just said screw it and went with this one. But I could have pulled runes off other characters, etc. So looking at his overall stats here, we got his physical damage up to 4108, which is fantastic. Critical chance, 31%. Would really kind of like to get that higher. Maybe I could get rid of that crit damage there. But that's okay. Health, 30,230. We brought it up 1,400. Now remember, these are gear 11 plus. All right. Then shield, we only brought it up 257. Speed, 57. Got him up to 213. Super happy with that. Potency, we put on 38.52%. So gear 11, that's going to put you almost 60% potency. He does get a little more with the gear 11 plus piece. So 60% potency, close to it, isn't bad at all. So now I would normally take Wukong into battles and show you all this fancy stuff. And I need to talk a little bit about Wukong first. What I need to talk about Wukong is he is the tale of two monkeys. I was kind of underwhelmed with Wukong based on how his kit read until I put on the T7 abilities. And I put on 4-dot runes and just started going nuts like I would as an end player. Then Wukong became what I thought Wukong was going to be. And that in and of itself is something that needs to be stated. If you are the average everyday player who's knocking out tier 7 raids or, even getting into tier 8, but you don't have a lot of gear 12 characters, Wukong is still good. He's usable early game, he's usable mid game, but he becomes so much more usable and fantastic the higher and more you put into him. He's an end game build kind of character in my opinion, and that's just how I feel about him. And that's okay. Not every character should be made for early game. Not every character should be made for mid game. And like I said, he's still usable early, mid game. I don't have a lot of gear 12s. I'm going to invest in this guy. I don't know if I'm going to open chests like I thought. He's not Garrett where he's lights out early game, he's lights out mid game, he's lights out end game. He's not Garrett. But he's usable and good early game, usable good mid game, but then he becomes lights out when you can put all that extra stuff into him. The notice, or what am I trying to say? The way he plays when you take him from a tier 6 ability to a tier 7 ability is just, it doesn't seem like it might be a lot, but it's exponential. He just makes all the difference in the world. It really, really shines. So, is he this like game-changing character I thought he was going to be? No, he isn't, in my opinion. Early mid-game. End-game, I believe he is. Especially for like those whales and krakens in the higher end of battlegrounds. Going against a pride comp with a maxed out crazy Wukong versus your regular Wukong, good luck. You know, so you have to keep that in mind. Temper your expectations on this character. If you're just a mid-game, is he worth the battle pass? On any level, yes. Getting a jump start on Wukong is worth it, in my opinion. But until you're ready to sink in those T7 mats, all that stuff, like he probably will be my first T7 ability I put on. I've been saving my scrolls. I got enough to do 2 abilities. I'm going to probably use them on Wukong. Now, when it comes to the comps that I've used, Wukong's hard to place in a pride comp for me. Reading his kit, I thought he'd be better in Revolt because they don't have the tank. But when he summons his reflections, it's only for the first time that they get that taunt. And they drop quickly. You put him on a Herod-led team, you have to pull off like a Boris or a Kagi, and you lose that great synergy they have. So it's hard to find a spot for him. He is like, he's got plug-and-play viability, don't get me wrong, but he's very going to be kind of like a niche, high-end use character. I think he's going to be really, really good in T9, T8, if you can get him up to where you need him to be. And I think when you can take him to year 12, he's only going to get even better. So that's why it's the tale of two monkeys for me with this guy. He's a different character without those T7 abilities, and maybe I'm wrong. But that's my initial playtest, and that's what I think about him right now. He does make the Pride better. He makes them way more annoying to fight. But the problem is you put him on a hair team, and where you want Salvador to soak up that damage, people can switch around and pick off your reflections. So it kind of lessens the value of Wukong, because if they pick off those reflections first, he has nobody to dispense those debuffs to. So, yes, it makes Salvador last longer. And once you get through those initial 3, they don't have the taunt anymore. They're stuck behind Salvador. So, how do I say this? Because he's a very, very good character. He's just not that game changer I thought he was going to be. And that's how I feel. But if you are an endgame player, you want this guy. That's just my take on him. And somebody in my position where I'm getting to that endgame where I can start gear 12ing characters, he's going to be big for my account. You in the early game, you get him and you put him on a Pride team, you might say, well, why is everybody so hyped about this Wukong guy? Really, I can do the same thing with a Boris and Kagi combination. And you're probably right, you could. But when you start to transition, you'll see a big difference. So that's what I got for you guys on my take on Wukong and where I feel he fits in the game. And for those people who are like, oh, he's a Kraken snack or whatever. He is, but not, like I said, not every character should be built for the early game. Not every character should be built for the mid game. We need characters that excel at the end game. And this is what he is. He's a character that excels at the end game. So people have asked me, should I buy him? Should I buy him? I'm not telling people what to do with their money at all. I don't like doing that. I'm not comfortable doing that. What I'm comfortable telling you is if you buy the Battle Pass every month, buy the Battle Pass. If you're an endgame player and want an advantage over people who might not spend as much as you, buy his chests. But for me, I'm going to buy the Battle Pass, maybe 1 or 2 chests, but I'm not going to go ham on him like I did with Garrett. If that helps anybody out there, and it's just my honest opinion, and that's how I feel about the guy. So I am going to jump over to a battle real quick and kind of just walk you through his mechanics. So we're going to jump into a challenge on the 16th challenge here, and you're going to see people die. And this is the team. I played around with Kegi for the haste, but the damage just wasn't there. So I'm going to put in Boris. There he is. I'm going to put in Boris here, and we're going to go from there. So here we go with Wukong, and I'm going to take this down to 1, and we're going to summon our reflections. We drop to 3, they're going to pick up counterattack and taunt because I have that T7, and this is where it becomes awesome. Because he puts on that daze. Wukong now assists. Huge. That counterattack is absolutely huge and a very big difference maker. See how fast they drop? That's what I'm talking about. They drop extremely quick. And we're going to come in with a basic here on our reflection. And then we get the assist, but of course he dodged it, but he does have the dodge increase. Now we're back to Wukong for a basic. See the ability cooldown? I'm going to pop that steel shell. But the reflections, see, they're down already. So now we got nobody to take that taunt off. Or those debuffs off. So we're going to put that on Salvador. Here's his AoE ability. Decent damage, not anything crazy. And we have him built for a damage spec, so got to keep that in mind. We don't need any heals yet, I don't think. Basic ability, putting on that daze, fairly consistent. So I'm not worried about, like I said, his potency at this stage of the build. We're going to drop another reflection here. And as you can see, he does some things to help your team out. He's not, like I said, at this point in the game, he's not a game changer, but I do believe at the end game he's going to be. He's going to be a big difference in Battlegrounds. He's going to be a big difference for the raids. Oh, I put that on a reflection of Wukong. There's the reflection doing his AoE. So that's kind of cool. He just doesn't do a basic, but almost you want him to kind of do a basic so he gets that dazes out. I mean, look what he's doing. But he's squishy. They are squishy. No doubt about it. So that's what I got for everybody on Wukong. And I think I've said it enough. So let me know what you think about this character down in the comments below. So that is what I got for everybody today. Just wanted to let you know all those things about Wukong on launch day. And he is a fun character. So with that being said, if you're just finding me for the first time and you're liking what you're seeing, click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. And for my XMG family members out there, I love you. See you in the next one. I'm out.